Before we begin tonight's slow story, take a moment to settle in. Maybe you're wrapped in a blanket, or just letting the day fade out around you. Let me know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? And what time is it right now as you press play? Are you falling asleep at 10 p.m. in California, or drifting off at 3 a.m. in Warsaw? And if this kind of quiet, slow history helps you rest, feel free to subscribe for more sleepy stories from long ago. We post every week, and I read every comment, even the ones written half asleep. Now, let's step softly into the cold, quiet world of the Ice Age. You are not yet awake, not truly. You lie curled beneath a heavy blanket of fur, its weight pressing gently over your shoulders and down across your legs, holding in the precious warmth your breath has gathered through the night. Around you, the world is silent but not still. Soft crackles from the fire's last embers shift the air near the cave wall, and a distant cough from one of the elders echoes low and slow like a bear turning in its sleep. You blink once, then again, but keep your eyes only half open. There is no reason to rise yet. The dark has not lifted from the mouth of the cave, and the long breath of the Ice Age still whispers in the stones. The air inside the cave tastes of soot, musk, and thawed skin. Your nose is half buried in the fur, but you can still smell the earthy scent of mammoth hide, smoked marrow grease, and something else, faintly sweet, faintly burned, like dried pine caught in a cooking fire. Outside, the world is blue and white, and still half asleep. The snow has no footprints in it yet. The sky has not begun to bleed gold over the horizon. Even the wolves, out there somewhere in the hills, have not sung. You are awake before the world, and for a time you do not move. When you finally stretch, your limbs protest with tightness, stiff from curling near the fire's edge. The floor beneath you is packed with old skins and moss, laid thick to keep out the cold that seeps up from the rock. You hear the soft pop of your shoulder as you roll, the pull of muscle warm just enough to move. Somewhere to your left, your younger brother is still sleeping, curled like a fox under a shag of reindeer hide. You think he is dreaming. His legs twitch slightly, chasing something. You let him be. There is no rush in a morning like this. No cockerel crowing, no clanging pots. Just the steady breath of your people, most still sleeping, their forms shadowed against the cave walls like ancient drawings. Your father's spear rests beside the entrance, half buried in a drift of snow that spilled in overnight. Its stone tip glints faintly, touched by the dying light of the fire. You are not yet allowed to carry your own spear, not outside the hunt. But soon, very soon, you will carve your own, and it will be as sharp as ice. The old woman is awake. She always wakes before everyone, though no one ever sees her rise. She sits now, legs folded, her back curved like a branch beneath snow. Her hands are slow and deliberate as they feed a few thin twigs into the hollow of the embers. She speaks to the fire in a voice no louder than a breath, though no words pass her lips. You watch the flame catch and stretch like a child rubbing its eyes. It blinks once, then again, and begins to glow. You rise quietly, careful not to wake the others. Your bare feet touch the fur, then the stone touches your bones. Even after all these winters, you still feel the cold in your heels first. You wrap yourself tighter in your cloak of stitched hides, the leather soft at the edges from many years of wear. It smells like your father. It used to be his. When you step toward the entrance, you pause. The snow has drifted high, nearly sealing off the opening, leaving just a narrow crescent of light along the edge where wind carved it thinner. You press your face near it. The cold outside is sharp, dry, and vast. It smells of nothing. It is not the cruel cold of storms or frostbite, but the ancient, endless cold that presses its weight into everything. It is the cold of the world as it was made. Your breath fogs. You touch the stone wall with your fingers. And it reminds you, gently, firmly, not to rush. The hunt is not today. The day is not for proving. It is a day like many others, in a winter like all winters, and all that is needed from you is stillness. You turn back to the fire, your back warmed now by the light beginning to return to the land. The woman hums softly, and the sound is older than words. She hums of beasts with thick fur and curved tusks, of hunters wrapped in silence, of stars so bright they seem to speak. You sit beside her, legs crossed, and wait. Not for anything urgent. Just for morning to arrive. You wake without moving, your limbs still tucked beneath the furs, your breath misting softly into the low, still air of the cave. The cold has teeth tonight. Long, slow teeth that gnaw gently at the edges of your shelter, seeping in through cracks you cannot see, wrapping their patient jaws around the soles of your feet and the tips of your ears. But the fire still burns. That's the first thing you sense before your eyes are even fully open, the dull, pulsing glow that filters through the backs of your eyelids, warming not just your body but something deeper, older, quieter inside you. You stir. The old woman is already there, kneeling by the fire as though she had never left. Maybe she hadn't. Maybe she never sleeps. Her long hair, streaked with snow gray and smoke brown, is braided loosely down her back, the strands glinting with little flecks of ash. Her back is curved like the bow you used to hunt deer in the thawed months, and her fingers move like she's plucking a song from the coals. You don't speak. There's no need. Her world at this hour is not made of words. It's made of rhythm, of heat, of glowing red and soft orange and long silences broken only by the gentle crackle of something ancient being remembered. You sit beside her, folding yourself carefully onto the stone floor worn smooth by generations of kneeling figures. The fur around your shoulders shifts, releasing the scent of smoke and animal fat and pine needles that have dried and crumbled into dust. You pull it tighter. The fire breathes in and out, its own slow lung, pulsing through the dimness. The flames rise only to shoulder height and then bow again, as though listening to something neither of you can hear. She doesn't look at you, but she knows you're awake. She always knows. With one hand, she stirs a bowl of ash mixed with bits of dry moss and crushed bark. Her other hand holds a stick charred at the end, used not to poke the fire but to gesture. To draw lines in the coals the way a hunter draws trails in mud, the way you draw mammoths on the walls. This is her language, the flick of ash to one side, the careful placement of a pine cone into the center, the way she leans in and exhales a long breath not to feed the fire, but to speak to it. You've seen her do it before, every winter night since you were small enough to be carried on your mother's back. You've seen how she feeds it, not just with sticks and scraps, but with meaning. She offers the fire things you do not understand, an old piece of hide, a carved bead, a lock of hair wrapped in birch bark. And in return, the fire gives her something back, heat, yes, but also patience. Memory. The kind of stillness that stretches out longer than sleep. Tonight, she offers it dried herbs bound in sinew thread. They curl and smoke, releasing a sweet, bitter scent that makes your eyes water. She watches the smoke rise, not hurried, not distracted, and hums a sound so low it could be mistaken for the wind outside if you weren't sitting so close. The sound doesn't have a beginning or an end. It loops like the turning of the seasons, like the way the stars return to the same places in the sky, even if you forget them for a time. You place your hands near the flame. It bites at first, sharp, bright, but then settles. Your fingers, stiff from sleep and the night's deep cold, begin to loosen. You let the heat sink in through your skin, into the bones beneath. The fire does not demand. It simply offers. That, too, is part of its language. The old woman finally turns her face toward you, not fully, not suddenly, just enough to let her eyes meet yours through the rising smoke. Her gaze is unreadable, not because it is distant, but because it is full. She sees things you don't, things buried in the coals, in the flickers, in the darkened tips of burning branches. She nods once, slowly. You don't need her to explain. You nod back. And the silence stretches again between you, but it's not empty. It's thick. Meaningful. Like a pelt that's heavy enough to keep you alive. Outside, the wind stirs. It pushes against the mouth of the cave, whistling low like a warning or a lullaby. Snow shifts off the ledge above and falls in soft flurries, tapping the rocks like gentle fingers. But in here, the fire speaks louder than the storm. And what it says, if you sit still long enough, if you quiet the shivering in your chest, is that you are not alone. That's someone long before you knew this cold. That's someone even older than her once sat beside a flame like this and felt the same warmth on their cheek, the same ache in their legs, the same wish for morning. You begin to understand why she never speaks at night. The words would only get in the way. And slowly, so slowly you hardly notice, you begin to lean. First against the stone. Then against your own arms. Then your shoulder finds the soft edge of the pelt at her side. She doesn't move. She lets you rest there, half awake, half listening to the fire's deep murmuring. The embers shift again. Another offering disappears into the coals. Another hush settles. The flames dim, not from dying, but from settling in for the long stretch before dawn. They do not need to roar. They've made their point. And in the warm, flickering quiet, your eyelids finally sink. Your body softens. Your thoughts grow slow, thick, simple. You are safe. You are still. The fire watches, and the old woman watches, and the cave holds all of you in its ancient breath. And even in sleep, you know the embers will keep speaking long after your eyes have closed. The sun never truly rises. Not here. Not in this season. It brushes the horizon some days, casting a silver glow that cannot warm the skin, then retreats behind the clouds like a timid creature unsure of its welcome. The sky, when it can be seen, is the pale belly of some great animal, flat, endless, colorless. But more often, the sky is nothing. Just a thick ceiling of drifting gray, pressing down, pressing in. And still, the snow falls. You wake to it again, sifting through the mouth of the cave like flowers shaken from an old woman's hand. It gathers at the edges, hugging the stone ledge where the fire's warmth no longer reaches. It has no scent. It has no voice. It simply arrives. Softly. Always. And never leaves. You stretch beneath the pelts. Your muscles ache in places that have become familiar, along your shoulders, your thighs, the small of your back. Sleeping on stone, even with furs, bends the body into a shape the Ice Age approves of: functional, enduring, quiet. Your joints pop in the stillness as you sit up, rubbing the sleet from your face, feeling the dull press of the cold already creeping toward you. The fire from last night is gone, though a few embers whisper beneath the ash, waiting. You rise. The others are still sleeping, curled shapes hidden under the hide blankets. Only the old woman stirs at the far end, and even she seems smaller than usual, as if the snow has worn her down, softened her edges. You move slowly, carefully, stepping over sleeping limbs, boots wrapped in sinew and fur scraping quietly across stone. The cold is a constant here, but it's the kind that teaches you silence. The kind that punishes noise with broken fingers and bitten cheeks. You learn not to disturb it. You learn to walk with it. Outside, the world is white. But not just white, layered. The snow that falls today is not the snow that fell yesterday. It has a different sound, a different weight, a different mood. Fresh snow sighs when you step on it. Old snow crunches. The oldest snow, snow that has melted and frozen and fallen again, rings beneath your feet like distant thunder muffled by age. You listen as you walk. It tells you how long the land has slept. You descend the short ledge from the cave, hands brushing the walls for balance. Below, the trees, bent with their winter burdens, stand like a council of watchers. They have seen more years than you will ever know. Their branches hold snow like secrets. Their roots drink the meltwater of centuries. And when the wind moves through them, it is not a sound, it is a memory being stirred. You walk until you are alone. Not far. Just far enough for the others to vanish behind the trees and for the hush of the snow to swallow every trace of voice, fire, and movement. This is your time. The others do not speak of it, but each of you does it. A moment alone in the snow. A ritual. You kneel and scoop a handful of the cold. It doesn't hurt at first. Your fingers are still warm enough. The snow clings to your skin like ash. You hold it there and wait. It begins to melt a little, and you feel the sting. That sharp little whisper that says you are alive, but only just. You press it to your face. You feel the crystals melt against your cheek. You feel your breath rising to meet it. This snow, this endless, falling silence, has been here longer than your people. It buried forests before your tribe ever lit a fire. It carved valleys while your ancestors still walked with bent backs and uncertain eyes. It remembers. It carries every footprint, every drop of blood, every broken bone. You rise and walk again, not in a hurry. There is nowhere to be. The snow makes sure of that. The snow does not hurry. And so you learn to move like it, slowly, deliberately. You touch each tree trunk as you pass. You recognize the way they lean, the way the bark buckles where elk once rubbed against it. You notice the broken branch that tells you a bear climbed it 2 moons ago. The forest is not still. It is merely patient. Sometimes you think you see shapes in the white. A mammoth, perhaps, far away on the ridge. A shadow that might be a man. A line in the snow that might be a trail. You do not chase these things. You let them exist. The snow plays tricks on everyone. It is not cruel. It simply wants to be seen. And if you stare long enough, it will show you things, some real, some not, and some somewhere in between. You return to the cave slowly, your footprints already softening behind you. The snow does not remember you for long. That is both its mercy and its curse. Inside, the others are stirring. The fire has been rekindled. A few coals glow bright. Meat from last night's hunt sizzles in a stone dish set above the flame, and the scent makes your stomach wake before the rest of you. You sit and eat, chewing slowly, feeling the fat soften your tongue, your throat, your thoughts. Later, as the sun vanishes behind the same clouds it never fully escaped, you wrap yourself again in the furs and lie close to the fire. You can still feel the snow on your skin, even though it melted hours ago. It leaves something behind, like the breath of someone who never spoke, but lingered. It's in your clothes, your hair, the ache in your bones. The snow that never leaves is not just outside. It's inside now, too. A part of you. And in that warmth, surrounded by silence, by the breathing bodies of your kin, by the flicker of light that dances on the cave ceiling like a ghost of summer, your eyes begin to close again. Sleep returns, not as a stranger, but as a snowfall, soft, steady, slow. And you let it cover you. You awaken again to the soft, persistent gray light of dawn filtering into the cave, though dawn here is a whispered promise rather than a blaze of brightness. The cold presses against the furs like an unseen hand, reminding you gently that this world is shaped by ice and stone, by breath and patience. But today, your thoughts turn to the things that have kept you alive, the tools that live as extensions of your hands, the crafted pieces of bone, stone, and would that make the hunt possible. Outside, the air is sharp and clear. You rise slowly, stretching muscles still tender from yesterday's journey across the snow. Your fingers instinctively reach for the bough, resting nearby, its sinew taut and unyielding, carved from the long, slender branch of a tree that grew strong and straight. The wood is smooth beneath your touch, warmed slightly by your breath. The bough is simple, yet it carries the weight of countless hunts. Its curves are familiar, comforting even, like an old friend waiting patiently. Beside it, your quiver holds arrows fletched with feathers gathered from the birds that share your land. Each arrow is a careful balance of materials, sharpened stone tips lashed tightly with sinew to straight shafts, their fletching designed to steady flight through the icy winds. These are not mere sticks. They are promises of survival, of food, of life continuing against the cold that would undo you. Your knife, too, lies ready, a sliver of obsidian, sharp and gleaming with a cold, dark promise. It fits snugly into a carved wooden handle wrapped with strips of hide, worn soft by years of use. This knife has cut through skin and sinew, has shaped wood and bone, has been a companion in countless moments when silence and swift action were everything. You pick up the spear next, feeling its length, the heft of its carefully balanced head. It's heavier than the bow, but steadier, meant for closer confrontation. The spear's tip is chipped but deadly, fashioned with the knowledge passed down from generations whose names are lost to time. You remember the stories told by the old woman, how the spear was once the first tool of the hunt, a simple extension of the arm before bows and traps were invented. In the corner of the cave lies your trap, simple yet cunning. Made from thin branches and sinew, designed to snap shut with quiet precision. You know how to set it by the tracks of rabbits and foxes, how to disguise it beneath the snow and twigs so it goes unnoticed. The trap is a different kind of patience, a waiting game that complements the sudden strike of the bow. You carry all these tools with care, not as weapons but as parts of yourself. Each one has been shaped by your hands, honed by your knowledge, chosen with respect. Without them, the vast frozen wilderness would be endless hunger and cold. With them, it becomes a world you can read like the sky, full of signs and meanings, rhythms and chances. The old woman enters the cave then, her eyes sharp despite the early hour. She carries a bundle wrapped in animal hide, new tools she has made in secret, gifts for you. There is a slender bone all for piercing hides, a set of small flint scrapers for preparing food and leather, and a new bowstring braided from sinew tougher than any before. She lays them before you with a slow, deliberate gesture, and you feel the weight of generations in her hands. This is more than survival. It is care, legacy, hope. The fire crackles quietly as if acknowledging the sacredness of the moment. You spend the morning examining each piece, feeling the cold edges and smooth surfaces, imagining how they will serve you on the hunt, in the cold nights, in the long silent stretches when the world is nothing but ice and shadow. Outside, the wind picks up, stirring the snow in soft eddies that dance like spirits around the cave entrance. The landscape waits, patient and indifferent, but you are ready. The hunter's tools are more than wood and stone. They are the language with which you speak to the wilderness, the means by which you carve your place in a world that never stays still. As the day fades toward dusk, you sit again by the fire, tools laid out beside you like old friends. The flames flicker, casting tall, restless shadows that play upon the rough walls, reminding you that even in this frozen silence, life moves in patterns older than memory. Your hands rest on the tools now, fingers tracing their worn surfaces. The cold will come again. The hunt will come again. But tonight, surrounded by firelight and the quiet breath of your kin, you feel something simple and enduring: preparedness. Connection. The promise that no matter the ice or the snow that never leaves, you are ready to meet the dawn. Your eyes grow heavy, the flicker of flame blurs, and slowly, without resistance, sleep draws you back into its soft embrace, carrying you beyond the reach of cold into dreams where the hunter moves swift and sure, guided always by the steady heartbeat of the tools you carry. The cave breathes quietly around you. A sanctuary carved into stone, protected from the endless whiteness beyond. The fire crackles low, sending tiny sparks that float like glowing embers in the cold air. Outside, the world is frozen in a stillness so absolute it seems to hold its breath, waiting. The snow blankets the ground and trees, muffling sound until the silence feels alive, almost sacred. It is this silence that shapes your every step, every choice, every hunger. You sit close to the fire, watching the slow dance of flames that lick the edges of meat roasting on a spit. The scent is rich and warm, weaving through the bitter cold that tries to seep in from the cave's mouth. This smell, a mixture of smoke, cooked flesh, and the faint tang of dried herbs pressed between layers of hide, is one of the few comforts in this harsh land. It reminds you that despite the endless ice, life still pulses here, fragile, fierce, and demanding. Food is not simply a need, it is a story, a ritual, a silent conversation between you and the wild. The hunt itself was long and quiet, hours spent moving like a shadow, breathing slowly, eyes fixed on the subtle signs the land reveals only to those who truly listen. The tracks in the snow, broken twigs, the fleeting shape of a distant animal disappearing behind a ridge. All these whispered secrets led you to this moment. You remember how your breath mingled with the cold air, how your heart beat steady but alert. The arrow you knocked was not just a weapon but a promise, carefully aimed with respect for the life you were about to take. When it flew, it cut through the silence like a sudden thunderclap, and then there was stillness again, thicker now, heavy with the weight of survival. The animal, a sturdy reindeer, lies nearby, its body a testament to the land's harsh generosity. Every part will be used, the meat for food, the hide for clothing and shelter, the bones for tools and weapons. Nothing is wasted here. You take a moment to honor the sacrifice, offering a silent thanks to the spirit of the creature, to the earth, to the sky that watched over you both. As you begin to prepare the food, your hands move with practiced care. The knife, sharp and steady, slices through muscle and sinew, revealing the warm flesh beneath. You work slowly, mindful not to rush, because haste here invites waste and misfortune. The old woman joins you, her movements quiet and sure as she tends the fire and arranges the pieces on the stones to cook evenly. You watch the fat melt and drip, sizzling as it hits the hot coals, sending tiny bursts of flame into the air. The smell deepens, rich and smoky, and your stomach tightens in anticipation. But it is not just hunger you feel, it is gratitude, connection, a deep understanding that this food is more than nourishment. It is life preserved against the cold, strength to face the endless nights, and a bond to the land and those who walked it before you. Between bites, you chew slowly, savoring not only the flavor but the story held within each mouthful, the chase, the patience, the silent communion with the wilderness. The taste is earthy, sharp with a hint of the bitter cold, warmed by the fire's kiss. The marrow from the broken bones is a treasure, creamy and rich, offering a burst of energy that fills you from within. Sometimes, you find other gifts in the silence. Frozen roots dug from beneath the frost, brittle but sweet, or hidden berries that survive beneath layers of last season's leaves. These small treasures are rare and precious, gathered with care and shared with the tribe in moments of quiet celebration. The old woman tells stories as you eat, her voice low and rhythmic like the crackle of the fire. Her words weave the past and present, the living and the spirits of the land, reminding you that you are part of a long chain of hunters and gatherers who learn to read the language of silence. You listen, letting the stories settle in your mind like soft snowflakes, fragile but lasting. Outside, the wind rises, stirring the snow in swirling patterns that blur the landscape into white abstraction. The world feels vast and unknowable, but here, by the firelight, you feel rooted and ready. The food, the silence, the tools you carry, they are your connection to survival and the rhythm of the frozen world. As the fire burns low and the cave grows colder, you wrap yourself once again in thick furs, the warmth seeping slowly into your bones. Your eyelids grow heavy, your breath steady and slow. The silence surrounds you, a blanket of soundlessness that is not empty but full of memory, life, and the quiet promise of dawn. You drift into sleep with the taste of smoked meat lingering on your tongue, the stories of the old woman weaving through your dreams, and the steady heartbeat of the land beneath you. The frozen night is long, but you are not afraid. You are ready. The land stretches before you, endless and frozen, a vast white plain beneath a pale sky. The wind is sharp, carrying with it the scent of ice and stone, and somewhere far off, the faint, haunting call of a creature so ancient and immense it seems to belong to the very bones of the earth. These are the great beasts of the Ice Age, giants that ruled the frozen wilderness, creatures both feared and revered, whose presence shapes every breath you take. Mammoths, towering like moving mountains, their thick fur swirling in the cold wind, lumber slowly across the snowy expanse. Their curved tusks gleam pale against the gray light, and their slow, deliberate steps leave deep impressions in the snow, marks of a power so vast it humbles even the boldest hunter. You have heard stories passed down from your elders, of mammoths so large that their shadows darken the land, and of the reverence they command among your people. These beasts are not just animals. They are legends made flesh, embodiments of the wild's enduring strength and mystery. To see a mammoth from afar is to glimpse the world's ancient heart beating beneath the ice. Their sheer size and power remind you of the fragile thread by which your own life hangs, small, vulnerable, yet fierce in the face of overwhelming odds. Nearby, great saber-toothed cats prowl the edges of the forest, their sinewy bodies moving like shadows through the trees. Their eyes, sharp and unblinking, track every movement, every flicker of life. The deadly curve of their elongated fangs strikes fear into the hearts of prey and hunter alike. To encounter one is to stare into the face of death itself, swift, silent, and relentless. You have learned to respect these predators, knowing that the balance of life depends on their presence. They are not enemies to be conquered but forces of nature to be understood and avoided when possible. The stories speak of hunters lost to the stealth of these great cats, swallowed by darkness in a single, terrifying moment. Beyond these, massive woolly rhinoceroses roam the icy plains, their heavy armor-like hides covered with matted fur. They grunt low warnings when disturbed, their horns sharp as the frozen blades of the landscape. These beasts, slow but unyielding, command space and respect. Their footprints are like scars in the earth, reminders of a world untouched by time. And then, the giant ground sloths, creatures of almost unimaginable size, graze quietly in sheltered valleys. Their massive claws rip at frozen branches, tearing apart the landscape to find the sustenance they need. Though slow, their power is undeniable, a force of nature shaped by the relentless cold. For you, these great beasts represent both peril and possibility. Their presence means danger, but also opportunity. Your tribe has learned to follow their tracks, to understand their habits, and to time your hunts accordingly. Sometimes, the fall of a great beast feeds many, meat enough to last through the bitterest months, hides thick enough to warm the coldest nights. Yet hunting these giants is no simple feat. It requires cunning, patience, and an unyielding respect for the forces at play. Your weapons, sharp and crafted from bone and stone, are but small extensions of your will against creatures whose size and strength dwarf your own. In the long evenings by the fire, elders tell tales of encounters with the great beasts, stories that ripple through the tribe like echoes of a distant thunder. They speak of hunts where courage met overwhelming power, of escapes by the narrowest margins, and of moments when the wild itself seemed to watch and judge. The great beasts are the guardians of the Ice Age wilderness, living testaments to a world both beautiful and brutal. Their lives are intertwined with yours, a constant reminder that in this frozen land, survival is never guaranteed but always fought for, with respect, with skill, and with the quiet courage of those who dare to live among giants. As you rest beneath the pale stars, the distant roars and calls of these mighty creatures linger in your mind, a lullaby of the wild, both awe-inspiring and humbling. The frozen night is vast, and within it, the great beasts roam eternal, timeless shadows in the endless dance of life and death. The endless night outside the cave is a frozen sea of shadows and whispers. The wind howls like the restless spirits of ancestors long gone, sweeping across the snow-blanketed land and rattling the thin bones of ancient trees. But inside, nestled deep within the earth's protective shell, life flickers softly, a fragile dance of flame and warmth that stands defiant against the bitter cold. You sit close to the fire, a child no older than 5 winters, wrapped in hides thick with the scent of earth and smoke. Your small fingers, chapped and roughened by the icy air, reach out hesitantly toward the glowing embers, mesmerized by their fiery glow that pulses like the heartbeat of the world itself. The warmth seeps slowly into your skin, chasing away the chill that clings to your bones, and for a moment, the harshness of the Ice Age fades, replaced by the simple comfort of heat and light. Around you, your tribe moves with the practiced ease of those who know this frozen land intimately. Elders murmur softly, their voices threading together ancient stories and quiet prayers to the spirits that watch over the hunting grounds. Their eyes are bright with memories and wisdom, their hands skilled at weaving hides and crafting tools that have kept your people alive for countless generations. Mothers hum lullabies in low, steady tones, their songs a soothing balm to soothe the restless young and ease the fears stirred by the dark. Your own mother sits nearby, her strong hands busy at work mending a cracked bone spear with sinew, her face worn but gentle. She glances down at you with eyes full of love and quiet pride, brushing a stray lock of hair from your forehead. "Soon you will learn," she says softly, her voice a thread of warmth in the cold air. "You will learn how to read the land, how to track the great beasts, how to carry fire in your heart when the cold tries to steal it away." You listen, wide-eyed, absorbing every word as if it were a precious gift. The firelight paints her face in flickering golden shadow, revealing lines of care and strength etched by years of struggle and survival. Her stories speak of mammoths that shake the earth beneath their mighty steps, of fierce saber-toothed cats that prowl unseen, of nights so cold that breath turns to ice before it leaves the lips. Sometimes, the older children gather near the fire to practice the lessons they have been taught, the careful shaping of flint into arrowheads, the silent communication of gestures that speak louder than words, the rituals that bind the tribe to the land and each other. You watch them with longing, yearning for the day when you too will join their ranks, when your hands will be steady and your heart brave. But for now, you are small, and the fire is your world. Outside, the wind presses hard against the cave's mouth, carrying with it the frozen scent of distant hunts and the faint, mournful calls of wolves echoing across the endless ice. You hear the soft padding of paws on snow, the distant crack of breaking ice, the subtle sounds that speak of life moving relentlessly forward, even in the face of endless winter. Your father's voice breaks the quiet, low and steady as he recounts a tale of a hunt long past. "The great mammoth was wounded," he says, "but it fought with the fury of the mountains themselves. We tracked it for days through storms and frozen rivers until the last breath left its mighty body." His eyes gleam in the firelight, a mixture of respect and sorrow. "From that hunt, we fed many, clothed many, lived many more nights." You imagine the great beast, towering and majestic, its fur thick as the forest and its tusks curved like the crescent moon. The thought fills you with awe and a strange kind of fear. The awareness that life here is a fragile balance, a dance with death and survival played out on a frozen stage. As your eyelids grow heavy, the fire dwindles to glowing coals, and the tribe's voices soften into a lullaby of quiet breaths and soft whispers. The warmth of the fire is a shield against the dark, a promise of safety amidst the vast, unforgiving wilderness. In this small circle of light, you feel the pulse of your people's past and future, a thread woven through time, unbroken and unyielding. You are a child by the fire, a keeper of stories and hopes, a flicker of life in the endless winter. Tomorrow, you will rise again to learn, to explore, to become a part of the great cycle of life that has carried your people through ice and flame alike. But for now you rest, held in the gentle embrace of firelight, wrapped in the timeless dance of warmth and shadow. The pale dawn barely stirs the frozen world, but already your breath clouds in the cold air as you step from the shelter of the cave. The ground crunches softly beneath your worn moccasins, each step disturbing the pristine blanket of snow that has fallen over the night. Around you stretches a vast white silence, broken only by the distant call of a raven and the faint crackle of ice shifting in the river below. The land is still wrapped in winter's frozen embrace, but beneath this icy silence, life pulses patiently, waiting, moving, breathing. Today, you are to learn what your people have learned for countless generations, to read the language written in the snow. The elders say it is a sacred skill, a gift passed down through the whispered stories of those who came before you. Each print left behind by the great beasts, each snapped twig or disturbed patch of frozen earth, carries meaning. It tells of movement, of hunger, of danger and survival. And it is your task to understand these silent signs, the first tracks of a hunt. You crouch low, fingers brushing the icy crystals on the snow's surface as your eyes search for the faintest impression. The cold bites at your cheeks, your breath steady and measured, but your heart beats faster, a wild rhythm echoing the pulse of the wild itself. You feel the weight of generations on your shoulders, the unspoken promise that this knowledge will carry your tribe through another long winter, that it will feed mouths and keep bodies warm. Suddenly, a shallow indentation catches your eye. You lean closer, the firelight from the morning sun making the print glisten like a hidden treasure. It is large, uneven, unmistakably the print of a mammoth. The sheer size awes you, the curve of the toe pads telling of a creature enormous and ancient, a living mountain moving slowly through this frozen wilderness. You follow the tracks, careful not to break the fragile ice beneath the snow, careful to tread lightly as if you might disturb the spirits themselves. The cold is relentless, numbing your fingers despite the thick furs wrapped around your arms. The sky above is a leaden gray, heavy with snow clouds, promising storms yet to come. The wind cuts sharply, carrying the scent of pine and the distant musk of beasts hidden deep within the forest. You listen intently, ears straining for the subtle sounds of movement, a snap of a branch, the crunch of hooves, the breath of something large and alive. Ahead you see them, the great beasts in all their terrifying majesty. A herd of mammoths, their shaggy fur matted with frost, their massive tusks curved like the horns of ancient gods. They move slowly but with a purpose, each step a silent declaration of their ancient dominion over this land. You hold your breath, your body frozen in the snow like a shadow, your eyes wide with a mixture of reverence and fear. You remember the stories told around the fire, tales of hunts where men risked everything to bring down these giants, where survival balanced on a razor's edge, where one wrong move meant death in the cold wilderness. Your father's voice echoes in your mind, steady and strong, teaching you patience and respect for the beasts you pursue. "We do not hunt for sport," he said. "We hunt to live. Every life taken feeds many. Every death is honored." The herd begins to move away, the snow crunching softly beneath their weight. You trace the fading tracks, your mind piecing together the story left behind. They pass through here at dawn, moving toward the shelter of the ancient forest where food is still hidden beneath the snow's grip. You know that tomorrow you will follow again, learning to move silently, to anticipate, to become one with the cold earth. Time seems to stretch and fold as you study the ground. The land itself feels alive, a living map written in frost and shadow, waiting for those wise enough to read it. The tracks are not just footprints. They are echoes of life, signs of movement and breath in a world frozen still. They tell of hunger and safety, of danger and sanctuary, of the fragile balance between predator and prey. You pause to catch your breath, feeling the cold seep deep into your bones. Your thoughts drift to the tribe back in the cave, the warm firelight and the quiet murmurs of the elders. You think of the small child by the fire, watching and learning, just as you did not long ago. The cycle continues, life passing from one generation to the next, stories woven into the endless night. As the sun climbs higher, the snow begins to soften, and the wind shifts direction, carrying new scents and new signs. You straighten, brushing the snow from your furs, ready to return and share what you have learned. The first tracks are never the end, but only the beginning, a door opening into the vast wilderness where life and death dance beneath the watchful eyes of the cold stars. You take one last look at the fading prints, feeling a spark of something fierce and wild ignite inside you. This land is harsh, but it is home. The snow may never leave, but neither will your resolve. Today you have taken your first steps into the endless story of survival, a story written in the language of the earth, spoken softly by the first tracks. The gray sky presses low upon the frozen world, a heavy blanket of cold and shadow that seems to hold its breath along with you. The snow beneath your feet is crusted with frost, hardened by the chill of night, but your steps must be cautious and light. Today is no ordinary day. Today, the hunt begins. Your heart hammers inside your chest like the pounding of ancient drums, a rhythm as old as time itself, echoing through the vast silence. You clutch your spear tightly, the rough wood worn smooth by your grip, its sharpened tip glinting faintly in the weak morning light. Every fiber of your being is focused on the task ahead, the pursuit of life, the dance with death that has defined your people for generations. Around you, the world is still and quiet, but alive with hidden movement. The trees stand like silent sentinels, their branches heavy with snow, their bark etched with scars from countless seasons. The wind whispers through the pines, carrying with it the faint scent of musk and earth, a subtle sign that your quarry is near. You breathe deeply, letting the cold air fill your lungs, steadying your nerves, calming the wild surge of adrenaline. The tracks you followed yesterday lead you deeper into the frozen forest, each print a marker on this treacherous path. Mammoths, colossal, majestic, and deadly, roam these lands, their heavy steps shaking the ground beneath you. The elders warn that these beasts are not merely animals but spirits of the earth, ancient forces that command respect and caution. To hunt them is to challenge the very essence of survival. As you move silently through the trees, you recall the lessons learned by the flickering firelight back at the camp. The patience to wait, the sharpness of the senses, the knowledge of the land, all must come together in perfect harmony. You must become part of the forest itself, a shadow among shadows, unseen and unheard. Your breath forms small clouds in the frigid air, and your eyes scan the landscape for any sign of disturbance. A broken branch, a flattened patch of snow, a glint of dark fur. The world seems to hold its breath as you creep forward, the tension building with every step. Suddenly, a faint rumble vibrates through the ground, subtle but unmistakable. Your muscles tense, every nerve alert. The mammoths are near. You crouch behind a fallen log, heart pounding, eyes fixed on a clearing ahead. There, partially hidden behind a stand of birches, you glimpse the massive shapes of the herd. Their breath rises in thick white clouds, their heavy bodies coated with frost and ice. The largest among them stands protectively near the center, its great tusks curved like ancient scythes, a living monument of power and endurance. The hunt is a sacred rite, not a reckless pursuit but a calculated test of skill, courage, and respect. You remember the elders' words. The earth provides, but only if you honor its gifts. Take only what you need, and give thanks with every breath. Your mind races through the plan. You will move with the wind, keeping low, using every tree and shadow as cover. The spear is your ally, but the spear alone will not ensure success. You must understand the beast's patterns, its movements, its moments of vulnerability. One mistake, one misstep, and the hunt will end in death, yours or theirs. The air is thick with tension as you begin to circle the clearing, your breath slow and steady, your eyes never leaving the mammoths. You note their positions, the way they shift their weight, the subtle signs of agitation and alertness. The smallest change could signal danger or opportunity. Time seems to slow, each heartbeat stretching into an eternity. The snow crunches softly beneath your feet, the sound muffled by the heavy silence that surrounds you. You feel the cold bite deeper now, the wind cutting through your furs like a blade, but your focus does not waver. In this moment, you are not merely a hunter. You are part of the ancient dance between life and death, predator and prey, man and nature. The forest watches silently, the spirits of the land bearing witness to your trial. You raise your spear slowly, feeling the weight and balance in your hands. Your muscles coil like a spring, ready to unleash the power of your ancestors. The mammoths sense the change too, shifting nervously, their massive heads turning toward you, eyes gleaming with ancient intelligence. The moment has come. With a burst of speed fueled by desperation and determination, you spring forward from your hiding place. The spear flies through the air, aimed true at the massive beast at the front of the herd. A sharp cry breaks the silence as the spear strikes home, and the hunt erupts into chaos. The earth trembles beneath the pounding feet of the fleeing mammoths, their trumpeting calls echoing through the forest. You chase, your breath ragged, muscles burning with exertion, the cold forgotten in the fire of the chase. The spear will not end the hunt alone. You must be relentless, tireless, and fierce. The forest blurs around you, a whirlwind of white and brown and shadow. Every step is a battle against exhaustion, against the sharp edges of ice and stone hidden beneath the snow. You hear the cries of your tribe in your mind, the prayers and hopes carried on the wind. The hunt is not merely about survival. It is a testament to your place in the world, your connection to the land and the life it sustains. Every wound inflicted, every breath drawn, every heartbeat pounding in your chest is part of a story older than memory. Finally, the largest mammoth stumbles, wounded and weary. You close the distance, spear raised once more, your body trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. The beast turns, eyes blazing with wild fury, and you meet its gaze without fear. With one final thrust, you pierce the thick hide, feeling the creature shudder beneath your touch. It falls, the ground shaking with its weight, and a heavy silence descends once more over the forest. You stand over the fallen giant, chest heaving, hands trembling, the cold returning like a wave washing over you. The hunt is over, but your journey is only beginning. The work of your people will continue long after this moment. The butchering, the sharing, the honoring of life taken. You look to the sky, gray and endless, and whisper a quiet thanks to the spirits of the land. This day will be remembered, not just for the kill, but for the courage, the skill, and the unbreakable bond between hunter and hunted. As you turn back toward home, the first snowflakes of a coming storm begin to fall, soft and silent, blanketing the earth once more. The hunt has begun, and so has the story of survival in this ancient, frozen world. The moon, a vast cold eye in the night sky, hangs heavy above the endless whiteness, casting its ethereal silver light like a ghostly veil over the frozen world. Underneath its pale glow, the land transforms into a realm both beautiful and terrifying. A world where silence reigns supreme, broken only by the distant crack of ice shifting and the soft whisper of the wind as it weaves through the skeletal remains of ancient trees. Tonight, the world is a quiet kingdom ruled by frost and shadow, and you are but a solitary figure moving cautiously across its fragile surface. Beneath your feet lies the frozen river, a vast ribbon of ice stretching far into the darkness, gleaming like a mirror reflecting the stars above. The ice is a deceptive surface, seemingly solid, yet alive with subtle movements and hidden dangers. With every step you take, your senses strain to detect the faintest hint of weakness, the almost imperceptible crack that could betray you and plunge you into the deathly cold depths below. The chill is unlike any other. It seeps not only into your skin but deep into your bones, a cold that gnaws at the very marrow of your being. Yet, despite the biting cold, your determination does not waver. Tonight, you venture into this perilous landscape not for glory, but for survival. Your breath clouds before you, each exhale a fleeting mist that vanishes almost as soon as it forms, a delicate trace of your presence in this vast frozen emptiness. The stars above seem distant and cold, their sharp points twinkling like distant fires too far away to warm your frozen world. The moonlight paints everything in shades of silver and blue, turning the snow and ice into a shimmering expanse that stretches beyond the horizon. The silence presses in on you, thick and heavy, as if the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for what will come next. As you move carefully forward, the memories of your people's stories flood your mind, tales told beside crackling fires and whispered through frosted breath. The elders speak of the ice moon, a time when the world seemed to pause beneath the endless winter sky, when the rivers froze solid and the nights grew so long that the sun barely dared to rise. They tell of the spirits that dwell beneath the ice, restless and watchful, guardians of the frozen realm who demand respect and caution. To cross the ice beneath the moon is to walk on the edge of worlds, the seen and the unseen, the living and the spirit. Your hands, wrapped in fur, move with practiced care as you test the ice before each step. The surface groans softly, a living thing responding to your weight, a whisper of danger hidden beneath the cold facade. Sometimes the ice holds firm, solid as stone, but at other times it quivers and trembles, a warning that this path is fraught with peril. You know that one false move could shatter the fragile crust and send you tumbling into the icy abyss, a place where death is swift and unforgiving. Far ahead, the faint glow of the campfire flickers like a beacon, a fragile refuge of warmth and life amidst the endless cold. But before you can return to its protective embrace, there is a vital task to complete. Beneath the frozen river's surface lives a secret treasure, the elusive ice fish, creatures of shimmering silver and delicate form, whose flesh is a rare and precious nourishment for your people during these harsh months. You kneel carefully beside a narrow fissure in the ice, its jagged edges framing the dark, swirling water beneath. The cold bites sharply at your exposed skin, but your fingers are steady and sure, guided by years of knowledge passed down through countless generations. The water moves silently beneath the ice, hiding the flickering shadows of the fish as they dart swiftly through the narrow cracks and bubbles frozen in time. Patience is your greatest ally now. The hunt beneath the moon is not like the thunderous chase of mammoths or the stealthy stalk through the forest. It is a silent communion, a test of quiet endurance and respect for the hidden life below. You watch and wait, breath slow and steady, eyes narrowing as the moonlight dances on the water's surface. Then, a sudden flicker, a flash of silver scales glinting in the dim light. Your hand plunges carefully into the frigid depths, fingers closing around the slippery body of an ice fish. The catch is small, delicate, yet vital, a shimmering gift from the silent waters that will sustain your tribe in the days to come. You whisper thanks to the spirits beneath the ice, honoring the life you have taken. In this frozen world, every gift is sacred, and gratitude is the thread that binds your people to the land and to each other. The moon watches silently as you gather your small but precious bounty, its light reflecting off the ice in 1,000 sparkling shards like scattered diamonds. Rising slowly, you pull your fur cloak tighter around you, the cold pressing in once more with an unforgiving force. The wind has picked up, weaving through the barren trees and across the frozen river, carrying with it the faint howl of distant wolves, haunting reminders that in this endless winter, you are never truly alone. The journey back to camp is slow and deliberate. Each step must be measured, each movement cautious. The ice beneath the moon is beautiful but treacherous, a fragile boundary between life and death. You feel the weight of this delicate balance in every breath, every heartbeat. As you walk, the cold night sky seems to stretch endlessly above, an infinite dome of frost and stars. The silence surrounds you, broken only by the soft crackling of the ice and the distant cries of the wild. It is a world suspended between stillness and motion, between shadow and light, a world where the line between survival and surrender is thinner than the ice beneath your feet. You think of the fires burning back at camp, the warmth of your family waiting patiently in the dark. Your thoughts drift to the stories told beside those flames, tales of courage, hardship, and resilience. Tonight, beneath the moon's pale gaze, you add your own chapter to that ancient saga, a quiet testament to the strength and spirit that have carried your people through countless winters. The ice beneath the moon is a mirror to your own existence, fragile yet enduring, shimmering with secrets and mysteries, a silent witness to the endless dance of life and death. As you near the camp, the first soft flakes of new snow begin to fall, drifting like silent blessings from the sky, covering the world in a fresh, pristine blanket. You pause for a moment, looking up at the glowing orb overhead, and feel a deep, unspoken connection to the land, to your ancestors, and to the fragile thread of life that you carry forward in the darkness of this endless winter night. The hunt beneath the moon is not over. It is only just beginning. The morning dawns pale and fragile, as if the very sky hesitates to shed light on the frozen world below. A thin veil of mist drifts slowly over the snow-covered ground, softening the sharp edges of the jagged ice and dead trees. The air is crisp, each breath a small cloud of warmth quickly swallowed by the endless cold. Around the campfire, the faces of your people are etched with a silent tension, their eyes heavy with memories that refuse to fade. Today, some will leave, stepping beyond the fragile safety of the campfire's glow and into the vast, unforgiving wilderness where the silence is thick and the cold bites deep. You watch the younger hunters prepare themselves, their hands steady but their eyes betraying the flicker of fear beneath the hardened exterior. Among them are those who have never ventured far beyond the familiar hunting grounds, their first journey into the unknown. The stories they have heard, whispered warnings told by elders, the tragic tales of those who didn't return, weigh heavily on their minds. You see the tight grip of a father's hand on a son's shoulder, a quiet reassurance that does little to mask the dread gnawing at both their hearts. The names of the lost are spoken only in hushed tones, as if saying them aloud might summon the cold shadows that claimed them. These were your brothers and sisters, your mothers and fathers, the very people who filled the camp with life, laughter, and hope. But the wilderness does not care for such things. It takes what it will, without mercy or remorse. There was Tarek, whose booming laugh once echoed across the frozen valley like thunder, now silenced beneath the weight of snow and ice. He ventured too far, chasing the tracks of a great mammoth, and never returned. And Asha, whose keen eyes spotted danger before it came, whose arrows once flew true, she disappeared on a hunt through the frozen forest, leaving behind only the faintest trail of broken branches and a lingering chill in the air. You remember the day the last hunting party went out. The sun hung low, casting long shadows that stretch like dark fingers over the snow. You felt a knot tighten in your stomach as they disappeared beyond the ridge, their figures swallowed by the vast whiteness. Hours turned into days, and hope began to wither. The camp grew quiet, prayers whispered to the spirits of the land and sky, begging for safe return. But some roads lead only to silence. The wilderness is a cruel teacher. Beneath the sparkling surface lies treachery, thin ice hiding freezing water that claims the unwary, snowdrifts masking yawning crevices, and predators that move unseen, watching patiently from the shadows. The cold is a relentless enemy, stealing warmth and strength, turning flesh to ice and dreams to frost. Those who do not return become part of the endless white landscape, forgotten faces melded into the snow, their stories whispered only by the wind. Yet the loss is not just of bodies, it is the loss of light in the eyes of those left behind. Mothers clutch their children closer, rocking them beneath heavy furs, their lullabies tinged with sadness. The young grow quiet, sensing the fragility of life in this frozen world. Even the fire seems dimmer, its flames flickering as if mourning those who will never come back. But in this harsh silence, a fierce resilience takes root. The tribe endures because the memory of the lost lives on, carried in the songs sung beside the fire and in the careful crafting of tools shaped from bone and stone. Each story told is a thread in the tapestry of survival, binding the living to those who came before. Their courage becomes a light to follow through the longest nights and coldest storms. You rise from the circle of flickering embers, the weight of the past pressing heavily on your shoulders. Yet within you burns a fierce determination to live, to hunt, to protect those who remain. The ones who didn't return are not forgotten. Their spirits move with the wind, unseen but ever present, guiding your steps and guarding your path. Tonight, beneath the cold gaze of the moon, you will carry their memory into the darkness. You will walk where they walked, listen to the whispers beneath the ice, and honor the sacrifices that make your survival possible. Because in the Ice Age, to live is to defy the silence and cold, to hold on to hope against the vastness of winter. The snow begins to fall again, soft, silent flakes drifting down like forgotten memories, blanketing the world in a quiet white shroud. You pause, looking up at the pale moon hanging low in the sky, and feel a deep, unspoken connection to the land, to your ancestors, and to the fragile thread of life you carry forward in the endless night. The ones who didn't return remain part of you, part of the story that stretches back through time, etched into the very ice beneath your feet. The morning unfolds slowly beneath a heavy sky, swollen with gray clouds that promise more snow to come. The frozen land stretches endlessly, a vast wilderness of white and ice where even the silence has weight. In this quiet world, every sign, every sound, every flicker of movement carries meaning. Today, your gaze is drawn to the ridge far to the east, a sharp spine of rock and ice rising like a sentinel against the pale horizon. It is there, just beyond your sight, that a slender plume of smoke curls upward, a whisper of warmth against the cold breath of winter. The sight of smoke over the ridge stirs something deep within you, a mixture of hope and unease. In a land where every day is a battle against the elements, where the threat of starvation and cold lurks just beneath the surface, the presence of another fire means life, or death. It means others. Others who hunt, others who live, others who struggle just as you do to claim a fragile place in this frozen world. You watch the smoke twisting and rising, carried by the icy wind, fragile yet insistent. The elders gather quickly, their faces shadowed by years of winters survived and those lost. They speak quietly, voices low as the snow falls softly around them. Some say it is a sign of strangers, hunters from another tribe, perhaps friends or foes. Others whisper caution, reminding all of the dangers that come with meeting unknown eyes in the wilderness. Stories drift like the snow, tales of past encounters that ended in bloodshed, of alliances forged in firelight, of silent nights broken by the sound of distant howls. The decision to investigate is heavy, weighted with risks that hang in the frosty air like icicles ready to fall. Yet you know that to live in the Ice Age is to take risks, to step beyond the warmth of the familiar into the uncertainty of the unknown. With a steady breath, you prepare, tightening the furs around your neck, checking the sharpness of your spear, wrapping your hands in strips of softened hide. Every motion is practiced, every breath measured. You leave the camp behind, the crunch of snow beneath your feet the only sound in the vast silence. The ridge looms closer, stark and imposing, its rocky face flecked with ice crystals that glitter like scattered stars. The wind bites sharply, carrying the faint scent of smoke and something else, a trace of earth, a whisper of life. Climbing the slope is arduous. Your muscles ache beneath layers of fur and skin, your breath comes in misty bursts. But with each step, the smoke grows stronger, the presence of others more real. From this vantage, the frozen valley sprawls below, a patchwork of ice and shadow. You spot the outlines of tents made from animal hides, roughly stitched and stretched taut against the cold. Figures move within the camp, cautious, alert, watching. When your eyes meet theirs, a jolt passes through you, a mix of fear, curiosity, and the faintest spark of connection. They are like you, survivors etched by the same harsh world, bound by the same struggle for warmth and food, for life itself. The ridge that once seemed a barrier now feels like a fragile thread linking two islands of humanity adrift in a sea of ice. The leaders of the other camp approach cautiously, their eyes sharp beneath fur-lined hoods. Words are exchanged, slow and careful, gestures made where language falters. Stories unfold, names, places, seasons of hunger and plenty, the slow carving of existence from the frozen earth. You learn that this tribe has faced many winters here, that their fires have burned through storms that would have crushed lesser people. As the sun sinks lower, casting a golden glow over the ridge, the two camps share what little they have: dried meat, cracked bones where marrow still lingers, stories told beside fires that sputter and glow. The smoke rises, now a steady column against the darkening sky, a symbol of fragile hope in a world of relentless cold. You lie awake that night beneath your furs, the memory of the ridge and the smoke lingering in your mind. The cold still presses outside, but within you burns a quiet warmth, the knowledge that even in the vast silence, you are not alone. The world is larger than the endless snowfields and ice, larger than the endless nights. Somewhere beyond the ridge, others live and breathe, fight and hope, just like you. And so, as the moon climbs high and the stars blink cold and distant above, you close your eyes with a heart a little less heavy, a spirit a little less alone. The smoke over the ridge is more than a sign, it is a promise. A promise that even in the coldest winter, the flame of life endures. The cold morning dawns in muted shades of gray, the frozen earth still holding the breath of night beneath a crust of glistening frost. Your breath rises in steady clouds, mingling with the chill air as you prepare for the day's most sacred task, the hunt. This is no mere act of survival. It is a ritual, woven through countless seasons, binding you to your ancestors and the fierce, fragile world around you. Before the first step is taken, you pause at the edge of the camp. The hunters gather quietly, their faces solemn beneath fur hoods, eyes reflecting the flickering light of small fires that barely hold back the cold. Your hands move with practiced care, selecting the spear that will be your companion, its shaft smoothed by many hands, its stone tip honed to a razor's edge. Each tool carries a story, a lineage of craft and care passed down through generations. The ritual begins with the offering. A handful of crushed red ochre is taken from a small pouch, its earthy scent mingling with the pine smoke that hangs heavy in the air. With deliberate fingers, you mark your face, A streak across your cheek, a dash along your brow, symbols of strength and connection, of blood and earth intertwined. These markings are not just decoration. They are a language, a prayer, a silent plea to the spirits that watch over the hunt. Around the fire, an elder's voice rises in a low chant, the ancient words twisting through the crisp air like smoke itself. The chant tells of the great beasts, mammoths and bison, swift deer and cunning wolves, creatures that walk the frozen land as kings and shadows. The spirits of these animals are honored, respected, and called upon for guidance and mercy. You feel their presence, invisible but palpable, threading through the cold like a living force. Your heart pounds in time with the rhythm of the chant. Each beat is a step closer to the unknown, a dance on the edge of life and death. The hunt is not simply a pursuit of meat, it is a communion. Every animal taken carries a spirit, a story, a fragment of the world's vast tapestry. To hunt is to participate in the sacred balance, to give thanks and take only what is needed. The group moves as one, slipping silently through snow-laden pines and across frozen streams that glint like shattered glass under the pale sun. Every footfall is careful, measured, a whisper against the silence. Your eyes scan the terrain, sharp and alert, reading tracks frozen into the snow, following signs that speak of passage and presence. The scent of the wild, cold and raw, fills your lungs and sharpens your senses. As you close in on the prey, a herd of woolly mammoths grazing near a ridge, the ritual deepens. The elders signal, a silent agreement passing between you like an ancient current. Patience, respect, and unity are your weapons now. You wait, blending into the frozen landscape, a ghost among giants. The mammoths move with ponderous grace, unaware of the danger threaded into the biting wind. The spear is raised, the moment stretches thin and taut as ice. The throw is swift, precise, a flash of motion that carries the weight of hope and skill. The great beast bellows, a sound that shakes the air and the earth beneath your feet. The hunt erupts into motion, a symphony of movement, struggle, and raw survival. In the aftermath, as the tribe gathers to honor the fallen, the ritual continues. Every part of the beast is used, every fragment respected, from the thick hide that will warm your nights to the marrow that will nourish your bodies. Psalms are sung in low tones, stories told by the fire that flickers against the endless dark. You feel a profound connection to this ancient dance, this cycle of life, death, and renewal. The ritual of the hunt is more than survival. It is a sacred thread that binds you to the earth, to your people, and to the unyielding spirit of the Ice Age itself. The snow lies thick and heavy over the frozen earth, a pristine white blanket that seems to swallow all sound, all color, all life. But beneath this fragile surface, the land tells a different story, one written in crimson streaks and dark stains that mar the purity of the ice. Blood in the snow is a language all its own, speaking of struggle, survival, and loss in a world where every moment teeters on the edge of life and death. You move cautiously, your breath shallow, eyes sharp as you follow the trail. The footprints are faint at first, disturbed snow, the subtle imprint of hooves, but then they darken, telling a tale of violence and desperation. A wounded beast, dragging itself through the cold, leaving a trail of red that cuts like a scar across the white expanse. The forest is eerily silent, as if holding its breath for what is to come. The trees stand like ancient sentinels, their branches heavy with frost, their shadows long and cold. Every snap of a twig beneath your feet echoes loudly in this stillness, a reminder of your own fragility in this harsh world. Your heart beats faster, the weight of the spear in your hand grounding you in the present. The hunt has turned, shifting from a pursuit of sustenance to a confrontation with death itself. The blood you follow is not just the life force of an animal, it is a summons to a test of courage and resolve, a challenge that will mark you forever. As you press forward, the shapes of the landscape blur, snowdrifts curve like waves frozen in time, rocks rise like the bones of the earth, and the sky above is a cold steel gray. Then, just beyond a ridge, the wounded creature comes into view, a great woolly mammoth, its massive form heaving with pain and exhaustion. The blood flows freely from a deep gash in its side, staining the snow like a vivid scarlet flame against the pale world. The beast's eyes meet yours, ancient, weary, yet fierce with the will to survive. In that moment, you understand the sacredness of this encounter. This is not just a hunt, it is a confrontation between two forces of nature, both struggling against the same relentless winter. Your respect for the creature deepens, mingling with the primal urge to claim the prize that could mean life for your tribe. You steady your breath, drawing on every lesson learned beneath the endless sky. The spear flies, cutting through the air with deadly grace, striking true. The mammoth bellows, a sound that shakes the very earth, and the world seems to hold its breath again. The final struggle begins, raw and fierce beneath the cold, gray sky. As the creature falls, the snow drinks its blood, the stains spreading slowly, a mark of sacrifice and survival. The tribe will gather soon, their faces grave but proud, honoring the beast that gives its life so that you may live. The ritual will follow, the sharing of meat, the telling of stories, the songs that bind past and future beneath the stars. In this frozen wilderness, blood in the snow is both a warning and a promise, a reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring strength of those who walk the ancient paths. And as you stand there, spear in hand, heart pounding in the cold air, you know that you are part of something greater, something timeless, a dance of survival written in crimson on the white canvas of the Ice Age. The morning mist clings to the frozen forest like a veil, softening the edges of towering pines heavy with frost. You step quietly into the camp, where the faint crackle of small fires and the low murmur of voices stir the cold air. This day marks one of the most vital ceremonies of your people, the tanning of hides. It is a ritual older than memory, a delicate dance between life and death, between the rawness of the hunt and the enduring warmth of survival. Around you, the tribe gathers with purpose. The hunters return with skins heavy and raw, their edges flecked with remnants of blood and muscle. The women and elders prepare the tools, smooth wooden frames carved from resilient branches, sharp flint scrapers honed to fine edges, and shallow pits filled with mixtures of crushed tree bark and wild plants. The very earth itself seems to breathe with the anticipation of this sacred work. The process begins with careful scraping, a task demanding patience and precision. You watch as the skins are stretched taut on the wooden frames, muscles and sinews removed with flint knives that gleam cold and sharp. The hunter's hands move steadily, their fingers steady despite the chill that bites at exposed skin. Each scrape peels away the last clinging traces of flesh and fat, revealing the pale grain of the hide beneath, a blank canvas awaiting transformation. The smell is rich and primal, the mingling of iron blood, damp earth, and the faintly sweet scent of crushed birch bark. This aroma anchors you to the moment, a visceral reminder of the cycle you live within. The hides soak next, submerged in vats of water infused with tannins from bark and leaves, substances that slow decay and harden the leather. The liquid is dark and murky, the bark particles swirling like sedimented memories. Hours stretch slowly, marked only by the flicker of flame and the shifting light through frost-laden branches. As the hides absorb the tannins, their texture begins to change, stiff and heavy at first, then gradually softened by rhythmic rubbing and kneading. This labor is painstaking and intimate, demanding strength and care. The women's hands, callous yet gentle, coax the hides into supple warmth, an alchemy that turns raw flesh into armor against the cold. This transformation is not only physical but spiritual. Elders chant quietly, their voices low and steady, calling upon the spirits of the animals whose lives have been given. They ask for forgiveness and offer thanks, recognizing that every patch of leather is woven from sacrifice. The hides are more than materials. They are vessels of life and memory, carrying the essence of the beasts and the breath of the land itself. Children gather at the edges of the work area, wide-eyed and silent, watching the ritual unfold. They learn through presence, the unspoken knowledge of how to honor the hunt, how to respect the gifts of the wild. Their futures are shaped here, in the tactile lessons passed from hand to hand, from generation to generation. As the day wanes and shadows lengthen, the hides are hung to dry near the fire. The warm glow casts flickering light across the softened leather, illuminating the faint impressions of hair and grain, nature's fingerprints on your tribe's survival. You know these hides will soon become coats, moccasins, coverings for shelters, indispensable shields against the merciless cold. In this work, you glimpse the profound connection between all things, hunter and hunted, earth and sky, life and death. The tanning of hides is a sacred covenant, a promise that nothing taken from the land will be wasted. Each strip of leather carries the silent story of endurance, resilience, and respect. And as the first stars begin to pierce the indigo sky, you feel a quiet pride. In these humble, steady acts, your people forge their path through the Ice Age, not just as survivors, but as stewards of a fragile world where every breath and every thread of leather tells a story. The world here is hushed, as if the very breath of the Ice Age holds still in reverence. The snow beneath your feet is heavy and unyielding, yet somewhere deep beneath the frozen earth lie secrets older than memory, resting quietly in bone and marrow. You move slowly, your breath fogging the cold air, eyes scanning the landscape where the scattered remnants of creatures long gone lie half buried in frost and silence. These bones, bleached white by endless winters, etched with cracks like ancient maps, speak in a language you feel rather than hear. They whisper stories of beasts that once thundered across this frozen land, of fierce hunts under pale moons, and of the fragile dance between life and death that shaped your people's existence. Every fractured rib, every weathered skull is a silent testament to survival, sacrifice, and the endless turning of time's wheel. You kneel beside a massive femur half buried in the snow. Your fingers trace its cold, smooth surface, imagining the creature it belonged to, a great mammoth, perhaps, its strength legendary. This bone once carried that creature's weight across tundras and glaciers, witnessed countless storms and star-filled nights. Now it lies still, a relic of power and endurance, a quiet monument to a world that continues to shift even as it sleeps beneath the ice. Around you, the land is a cathedral of silence. The wind moves softly through skeletal branches, carrying with it the faintest echoes of distant footsteps, whispers of hunters long past, and the breath of ancestors who knew these lands when the ice was young. It feels sacred here, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, where respect must be paid to the bones that carry the soul of the earth itself. Your tribe approaches slowly, mindful not to disturb the resting places of those who have given their lives for the continuation of all. The elders murmur prayers, low chants that ripple through the cold air, calling upon the spirits housed within these ancient remains. They speak of balance, the delicate pact between taking and giving, between honoring death so that life may flourish. The bones are more than mere remains, they are the foundation of your survival. From their dense material, tools are crafted, scrapers, needles, and spear points honed sharp with patient hands. The marrow nourishes when food is scarce. Even in death, the bones serve, a reminder that in the Ice Age, nothing is wasted, and every fragment holds purpose. Children watch wide-eyed as the ritual unfolds, learning the unspoken laws of respect and gratitude. They understand that the bones beneath their feet are the stories of their ancestors, stories written not in words, but in silence and strength. Each fragment connects them to a lineage of hunters and gatherers who faced the harsh world with courage and reverence. As the sun dips low, Casting long shadows that stretch like fingers over the frozen ground, you stand and gaze one last time at the quiet bones, guardians of history, keepers of memory. In their stillness, you find a strange peace, a solemn beauty that fills the icy air with meaning. This quiet, you realize, is not emptiness but a sacred pause. It is the hush that honors what has been and what will come. The bones will remain long after the hunters have gone, whispering through the ages, reminding you of the fragile thread of life in a world ruled by ice and time. You turn back to the camp, heart heavy yet steady, carrying the weight of their stories deep within you, a silent vow to walk your path with respect, to honor the past, and to survive with the quiet strength of bones beneath your feet. You wake before the first light, the endless white stretching beyond your sight, a frozen sea that neither softens nor fades. The sky above is a muted canvas, pale and unyielding, as if the world itself has paused, held captive in a frozen breath that stretches beyond time. Here, the seasons do not change. There is no spring to stir the earth, no summer sun to warm the bones, no autumn's fiery tapestry to soften the harshness of the land. Instead, there is only the endless, unrelenting winter, a vast and silent dominion where time folds back on itself and every day feels like the one before it. The cold is not simply a passing visitor here, it is a constant, a fierce companion that gnaws at your skin and seeps into your bones. It paints the world in shades of gray and white, turning forests into ghostly silhouettes and rivers into glassy mirrors frozen in place. The wind howls, a sharp voice cutting through the stillness, carrying with it the scent of ice and distant earth, whispering secrets of a world locked in eternal frost. You have learned to listen to that wind, to understand its moods and warnings, because in this place, survival depends on reading the subtle signs the seasons might have once revealed. Your tribe moves slowly across this frozen wasteland, each step measured and deliberate. The rhythm of your days is carved from repetition, the gathering of wood, the sharpening of tools, the watchful eyes cast over the horizon for signs of game or danger. Time folds into itself here, blurring into an endless cycle where the past and future mingle in the silence between breaths. You remember stories told by your elders, tales of a world before the ice, when seasons turned and life blossomed in cycles. Now, those stories feel like distant dreams, faint echoes that warm your heart but cannot alter the frozen reality underfoot. Yet within this stillness, life persists. Beneath the snow and ice, the earth stirs in secret. Tiny buds wait patiently beneath frozen soil, animals adapt and migrate, and your tribe endures with quiet strength. There is a sacred rhythm to this endurance, a lesson etched into every frostbitten leaf and cracked stone, that existence is not defined by change, but by the ability to endure through it. The seasons may never shift here, but within you, a deeper season unfolds, the cycle of resilience, hope, and quiet courage. Around your campfire, faces glow with flickering warmth, eyes reflecting the dance of flames that push back the endless night. You feel the pulse of your people, steady and strong, bound by the shared understanding that life here is fragile and precious. The fire's crackle is a song of defiance against the cold, a small beacon of light in a world ruled by shadow and ice. Children listen in rapt silence as elders speak softly of survival and spirit, weaving the past and present into a tapestry of shared existence. Sometimes, when the wind dies down and the stars blaze cold and distant overhead, you gaze upward, tracing the familiar constellations that have guided your people for generations. The sky itself feels eternal and unchanging, a vast map of light and darkness that offers both guidance and mystery. You wonder if the bones of your ancestors rest beneath the frozen earth nearby, silent witnesses to the unbroken cycle of seasons that refuse to change. In this place where the world sleeps beneath a blanket of ice, you find a profound peace, a quiet acceptance of life's relentless stillness. The unchanging seasons teach patience, humility, and the strength to carry on when all seems frozen in time. You understand now that survival here is not about fighting the cold, but about learning to move with it, to find warmth in small moments, and to carry the flame of life forward, no matter how long the winter may last. And as the pale dawn creeps slowly across the horizon, painting the ice with a fragile light, you rise with the knowledge that, even in a world where seasons do not change, life will endure, stubborn, fierce, and quietly radiant beneath the endless sky. The cave yawns before you like the gaping mouth of the earth itself, dark and silent, promising shelter yet whispering secrets older than time. Stepping inside, the biting howl of the icy wind fades into a muffled murmur, swallowed by the thick stone walls that hold the cold at bay. The air here is damp and heavy, scented faintly with earth and ancient stone, mixed with the sharp tang of smoke from the fire struggling to stay alive on the rocky floor. Shadows dance wildly on the uneven walls, thrown into restless motion by the flickering flames, like spirits reaching out from the darkness, desperate to be heard. Your breath comes slow and steady, a visible mist that curls upward and dissolves in the cold air. Each inhalation draws in the scent of wet rock and old bones, a smell carried here through countless seasons, mingled with the faint trace of the animals hunted and consumed, whose spirits you feel lingering somewhere just beyond the firelight. The cave feels alive, not with movement but with memory. Every crack in the stone, every hollow echo holds the weight of lives lived in shadow and cold. You sink down near the fire, letting the warmth seep slowly into your frozen skin, but your ears remain alert to the sounds around you, the distant drip of melting ice, the creak of shifting rock, the barely perceptible breath of the cave itself. And then you hear it, a faint murmur, almost too soft to catch, like the rustle of wings or the sigh of ancient breath. At first, you think it must be your mind playing tricks, weaving the loneliness into voices, but the sound grows, subtle waves of murmuring, rising and falling with the rhythm of the fire's flicker. These are not voices in the way you know, not words shaped by tongue and mouth, but something older, echoes of the ancestors who once called this cave home, who spoke in the language of wind and stone, in the hush between heartbeats and the quiet between storms. They speak without speech, their voices carried on the currents of time, woven into the very fabric of this rock. Listening closely, you almost hear stories hidden beneath the murmur, tales of hunts long past, of great mammoths felled beneath a frozen sky, of fires kindled to keep the darkness at bay, of children's laughter swallowed by snow. Your mind drifts into the past as the fire crackles, painting the cave walls with ghostly images, figures draped in furs, faces etched with the weariness of survival, hands gripping spears sharpened by stone. You imagine their voices growing louder, no longer whispers but full of strength and sorrow, voices that tell of a fierce love for this harsh land, for the fragile thread of life that binds one generation to the next. You feel their presence close, as if they sit beside you now, sharing the warmth, watching over the small flame that defies the endless cold outside. Yet beneath the comfort lies a shadow, a reminder of those who never returned from the hunt, swallowed by the merciless ice or fallen beneath the claws and tusks of great beasts. Their voices too are here, softer, sorrowful, a lament carried on the wind that seeps through cracks in the stone. You reach out, fingers brushing the cool rock, and feel a strange vibration, a pulse that seems to resonate with your own heartbeat, connecting you to those lost souls whose lives ripple through time like the endless snow outside. The cave becomes a sanctuary of reflection and connection. Here, surrounded by silence and shadows, you confront the fragility of your own existence and the fierce determination that has carried your people through centuries of winter. The voices remind you that you are part of a long chain, a living thread woven into the tapestry of survival and memory. They teach patience in the stillness, courage in the face of the unknown, and reverence for the quiet power of the earth beneath your feet. Outside, the storm rages with unyielding fury, but inside the cave, time slows and bends. The voices rise again, a chorus without words, a song of endurance, hope, and unbroken spirit. As you settle near the fire, the flickering light casting your shadow long and thin across the cave walls, you understand at last, these voices, these echoes of the past, are not just memories. They are a guide, a warning, and a promise that even in the deepest cold and darkest night, life will find a way to endure, whispered softly in the voices of the cave. You press your body low against the cold, rough surface of a jagged outcrop, your breath shallow, visible in the freezing air, curling in small ghosts before you. The world around you is a vast sea of white, broken only by the distant, moving shapes on the horizon, great herds crossing the frozen plains, their slow but steady rhythm a song older than memory itself. The snow crunches faintly beneath your worn hide boots, every sound absorbed by the thick silence that blankets the Ice Age world. Your eyes strain against the gray light of the pale sun, filtered weakly through the heavy clouds hanging low above the endless tundra. Far away, the great mammoths slumber forward, their shaggy coats dusted with ice crystals, huge curved tusks like the arms of ancient gods, swaying with each ponderous step. Their breath rises in misty clouds, merging with the swirling snowflakes that drift down like feathers from a frozen sky. Near them, smaller herds of reindeer flick their ears, tails flicking away biting insects that brave the cold, while wild horses stomp and snort, their coats thick and matted from the long winter. Every muscle in your body is taut with attention. You are both hunter and witness, guardian and part of the ancient cycle that has played out on these frozen plains for generations beyond count. Your spear lies ready in your hand, the carefully sharpened flint tip catching the faint light now and then. But you remain still, patient, knowing that rushing would mean nothing but wasted energy and danger. You have learned to wait, to watch, to become one with the cold and the silence. As you watch, you notice the subtle movements within the herds, the cautious shifts of the mammoth matriarch, her massive frame leading the way, the nervous glance of a reindeer calf, still clumsy on its legs, the slow, deliberate steps of the stallion at the herd's edge, muscles rippling beneath his thick coat, ever alert for predators hiding in the shadows. These creatures live by instinct, their lives woven tightly into the frozen landscape, and you, too, are bound to this land, to the same harsh laws that govern survival and death. Your mind drifts, carried on the cold wind that brushes your face. You remember the long nights spent by firelight, stories told by elders about the herd's migrations, sacred journeys mapped by the stars, predicted by the shape of the moon, followed like a prayer. You recall the excitement mixed with fear as the village prepares for the hunt, the ritual sharpening of tools, the silent prayers to spirits you cannot see but feel watching over you. The air is sharp and biting, a constant reminder of the unforgiving world you inhabit. Frost clings to your lashes and beard, your fingers stiff in the cold despite the thick furs wrapped tightly around you. Yet beneath this harshness lies a strange beauty. The way the snow glistens like crushed diamonds, the silent majesty of the ice-coated trees, the soft murmur of the wind singing through the empty branches. You shift slightly, careful not to disturb the fragile stillness, and catch the faint crack of a twig, a subtle sound that sets your heart pounding. Somewhere within the herd, a mammoth pauses, ears twitching. The tension is palpable, a thread stretched taut between predator and prey, between life and death. You remind yourself to breathe slowly, to stay calm. Your ancestors have faced these moments before you, their spirits steady and fierce within you. As the herds continue their slow migration, you feel a profound connection, a bond forged in the frozen earth beneath your feet and the vast, gray sky overhead. The herds are more than food. They are the lifeblood of your people, the moving pulse of a world that refuses to yield to the cold and silence. Watching them is a sacred act, a moment of reverence and humility, a recognition of your place in the endless dance of nature. The day wanes, shadows growing long and blending into the twilight of an ice age evening. The herds shrink into the distance, disappearing into the swirling snow, their heavy footsteps echoing faintly in your ears. You remain where you are, heart still racing, spirit quiet but alert, knowing that soon the hunt will begin, the moment when patience and respect will give way to action and survival. For now, though, you simply watch, caught in the timeless rhythm of life on the frozen plains, a witness to the great migration, a keeper of stories written in hoofprints and frost, a hunter bound to the ancient heartbeats of the earth. The shelter feels smaller in the dim dawn light, its walls fragile against the vast frozen wilderness that waits beyond. You sit still a moment longer, wrapped in layers of skin stiff with frost, feeling the pulse of your own breath, slow and steady, mingling with the faint, smoky warmth rising from the dying embers beneath your feet. The fire has long lost its roaring heart, and now whispers faintly, as if reluctant to surrender its last bit of life to the cold. Outside, the world is an endless expanse of white, a vast ocean of snow and ice stretching to the edges of your vision and beyond. You inhale deeply, the sharp, icy air filling your lungs like needles, each breath a reminder of the cruelness that the ice age breathes into every living thing. This is a land where silence dominates, where sound is swallowed by thick blankets of snow, and the occasional howl of a distant wolf pierces the stillness like a ghostly cry. You hear nothing else but the faint crackle of frost settling on frozen branches, the low whistle of the wind threading through the skeletal trees. Your fingers, stiff and raw from the cold, fumble to tighten the bindings on your cloak. The furs that shield you from the worst of the cold feel heavy and damp with the chill that seeps into your bones. You tighten the straps across your chest, feeling the comforting weight of your spear resting against your arm. The spear, your lifeline, sharpened and ready, its flint tip honed to a fine edge by countless careful strokes. The walls of the shelter, woven branches and stretched animal skins, offer some protection, but you know they are only a fragile barrier against the relentless winter outside. Beyond them lies the untamed world, vast, empty, and filled with dangers both seen and unseen. You think of the wild beasts that roam these lands, of mammoths tearing through the frozen plains, of wolves hunting in the shadows, of the silent movement of prey, always alert, always watching. You rise slowly, every movement measured and deliberate. Your legs ache with the stiffness of cold and long stillness, but you push the pain aside. Today, the hunt calls you out, away from the flickering firelight and into the biting wind. You know that survival depends on this journey, on your ability to track, to stalk, to strike. Without your hunt, the children in the shelter will go hungry. The elders will grow weaker. The fragile warmth of the fire will die out completely. Stepping toward the shelter's opening, you pause for a moment. The world outside feels immense and indifferent, a harsh wilderness where only the strongest endure. You swallow a breath of the cold air and let it fill you with its sharp, invigorating bite. Then, with a final glance behind you, you push aside the animal hide door and step into the frozen morning. The snow crunches beneath your boots, a brittle, unyielding sound that echoes faintly in the hollow air. Your breath forms little clouds that drift quickly away, swallowed by the vast cold. The sky above is a pale, steel-gray canvas, with the faintest hints of dawn bleeding in from the east, casting a fragile, cold light across the endless landscape. You pause, scanning the horizon with eyes narrowed against the chill. In the distance, the faint shapes of moving herds are barely visible, dark shadows against the white world. You feel the weight of responsibility settle heavier on your shoulders. The hunt is not just a matter of survival. It is a ritual, a sacred duty passed down through countless generations. It is a pact between you and the earth, a dance with the spirits of the land and sky. Your thoughts wander briefly to your family. The small faces of the children wrapped in furs, their eyes bright but hungry, The quiet strength of the elders, their hands weathered but steady, the warm, familiar presence of your partner, whose trust in your skill is as vital as the fire that burns in the shelter. This journey is for them, for all of you, bound by the fragile threads of hope and necessity. The wind picks up, carrying with it the scent of pine and frozen earth, a sharp reminder of how cold and unforgiving this place truly is. Frost crystals sparkle on every surface. The bare branches of the trees, the sharp edges of the rocks, the smooth, unbroken snowdrifts that surround you. The world feels suspended, a frozen moment caught between night and day, life and silence. You move forward, your steps steady but cautious. Every sound you make is muffled by the thick snow, every movement deliberate to avoid startling the game you seek. The spear in your hand is an extension of yourself, a tool honed not just for killing but for respect, a symbol of your bond to the ancient world that feeds and sustains you. As you walk, your mind drifts to the stories told by the elders, tales of hunts long past, of spirits that watch from the shadows, of the land's secret language spoken in the rustling of leaves and the shifting of the snow. You feel their presence, unseen but ever near, guiding your steps, steadying your heart. The shelter now lies far behind you, a faint shape swallowed by the endless whiteness. Ahead, the vast wilderness beckons, mysterious, beautiful, and merciless. You press onward, knowing that every step is a test of will and skill, that your life and the lives of those you love depend on your courage and your cunning. With each breath, you become more attuned to the rhythms of the land, the whisper of the wind, the distant call of a bird, the faint trail left by a passing herd. You are no longer just a hunter. You are part of the frozen world itself, moving silently through the ice and snow, a guardian of life in the harshest of realms. The sun begins its slow climb, casting long shadows that stretch and dance across the snow. The cold no longer feels quite so sharp. You pause, lifting your face to the pale light, feeling a quiet strength bloom within your chest. Today is a day of survival, of honor, of connection, a day when the ancient pulse of the earth beats strong beneath your feet, and you step forward to meet it. Before you stretches the great river, a colossal vein of frozen time winding through the endless wilderness like a shimmering spine of crystal and shadow. The river of ice, vast, ancient, and merciless, courses silently beneath its brittle, glass-like surface, hidden torrents frozen in time by the relentless breath of the Ice Age. Its frozen expanse stretches far beyond what your eyes can see, a pale ribbon weaving through the stark white landscape, cutting the earth in half like a wound both beautiful and deadly. You stand at its edge, where the snow-soft ground gives way to a slick, gleaming sheet of ice so clear that beneath it you can see the dark, swirling currents struggling to move in their eternal prison. The cold here is more profound, sharper, deeper, a silence so complete it almost presses against your chest, heavy and thick as the ancient ice itself. The river is both barrier and pathway, a place of danger and promise, a test of your skill and courage. Your boots crunch against the frozen bank, the brittle ice crackling faintly beneath your weight. Around you, the landscape is hushed and expectant. The trees stand like silent sentinels, their branches frosted and still, their shadows long and stark in the pale morning light. The sky above is a muted wash of gray and blue, cold and empty except for the faintest hint of sun struggling to burn through the winter gloom. Crossing the river will take all your focus and care. One wrong step could send you plunging into the freezing depths below, the current swift and unforgiving even beneath the thick ice. Yet, the river also holds promise. Tracks of prey animals etched lightly into the snowy banks, places where fresh water pools beneath the surface, and ancient paths worn smooth by the feet of countless hunters before you. You lower yourself carefully onto the ice, feeling the hard surface press up through the thin soles of your moccasins. The cold bites fiercely at your knees and palms as you steady yourself, spear gripped tightly, eyes scanning for cracks, thin spots, or hidden dangers. Each step is a slow, deliberate negotiation with the river's frozen skin, a fragile barrier holding back the fierce life flowing beneath. With every breath, you sense the immense age of this place. The ice whispers stories of centuries past, great floods that shaped the land, fierce winters that tested your ancestors, and the steady march of glaciers carving the world into its frozen shape. Beneath your feet, the river's pulse is faint but steady, a reminder that even in stillness, life persists. Your thoughts drift to the tribe waiting beyond the riverbank, the warmth of the fire, the low murmur of voices, the soft patter of children's footsteps. You carry their hope with you, a burden heavy yet sacred. This crossing is more than a physical trial. It is a rite of passage, a bridge between the known and the unknown, between survival and surrender. The wind picks up suddenly, swirling snowflakes and wild eddies that dance across the ice, stinging your cheeks and blurring your vision. You pull your hood tighter, your breath quickening as you push forward. The surface shifts underfoot, a faint groan vibrating through the ice, reminding you that this river is alive, restless, and unforgiving. You pause halfway across, heart pounding, senses alert to every sound and movement. Far below, shadowy shapes drift in the dark waters, a hidden world frozen yet teeming with life. The river holds secrets, ancient and wild, that no words can capture. Here, in the silence and cold, you feel the humbling power of nature, the delicate thread on which your existence balances. Stepping carefully, you continue onward, the opposite bank growing closer with each cautious move. The promise of solid ground and safety ahead spurs you forward, but you do not rush. Haste here means death. Each step is measured, steady, a silent prayer whispered into the icy wind. At last, your boots touch the far bank, soft snow muffling your steps. You exhale deeply, the tension slowly ebbing from your muscles. Behind you lies the frozen river, a silent, gleaming expanse holding centuries of stories and dangers. Ahead lies the forest, the hunt, the endless battle for life in a world carved by ice and time. As you move away from the river's edge, the first weak rays of sunlight break through the clouds, casting a fragile glow across the land. You carry with you the river's cold strength, a reminder of the frozen world's harsh beauty and the unyielding will to survive. The biting cold of the Ice Age dawn wraps around you like a relentless shroud as you stir from your sleep beside the dying embers of the fire. Each breath you take mingles with the frost in the air, creating a ghostly mist that vanishes quickly into the vast silence surrounding your fragile shelter. You rise slowly, feeling the stiffness of muscles chilled through the night, and reach for the familiar weight that rests against your back, the bundle of tools, provisions, and memories that defines your very existence. This load is not merely physical, it is the embodiment of your survival, your heritage, your story carved into the unforgiving world of ice and snow. As you secure your worn fur cloak tightly around your shoulders, the coarse hairs prick against your weathered skin, a comforting reminder of the countless generations who wrapped themselves in the same protective embrace. The cloak smells of smoke, earth, and the distant forests where the great beasts roam. Its weight is a testament to the harshness of this world, a world where warmth is scarce and every thread of protection counts against the endless cold that seeps into bones and spirits alike. You shift the pack on your back, feeling the solid shape of your spear, its flint-tipped chipped but sharp, glinting faintly in the pale morning light. This spear is an extension of your arm, a silent companion forged through years of hunts and dangers faced alone and with your tribe. The shaft is smoothed by calloused hands, the leather bindings darkened by sweat and blood, carrying the silent history of every successful strike and every narrow escape. It is not just a weapon but a symbol, a tether to your people, to the rituals and rhythms of a life lived in harmony and battle with nature's fiercest challenges. Inside your pack, tightly wrapped in animal hide, lies the dried meat, precious sustenance in a world where food is as fleeting as the thaw between endless winters. You trace your fingers over the rough texture of the hide, the faint scent of smoke and earth rising from it like a silent promise. This is not just food, it is life distilled into concentrated form, the result of patience, skill, and respect for the animals who gave their lives so that yours might continue. Each bite you will take in the hours ahead carries the weight of gratitude and remembrance, a connection to the great cycle of death and renewal that governs this frozen land. You pause for a moment, your gaze drifting to the simple shelter of branches and hides behind you, a fragile island of warmth and safety in the sea of snow and ice. It holds the stories of the nights spent in whispered prayers, of laughter muffled by thick furs, of shared fears and hopes beneath the pale stars. Your tribe's presence lingers in every footprint pressed softly into the snow, every ember cooled to ash. The burden you carry is heavy, but it is also sacred. It is the link between the past and the future, between the known comforts of hearth and the wild unknown beyond. As you begin to move, each step is a negotiation with the shifting ice beneath your feet, a careful balance of strength and caution. The cold bites deep into your face, numbing your nose and cheeks. And the wind pulls at your cloak as if trying to strip away the very essence of your being. Yet beneath this harshness lies a strange kind of beauty, the crystalline gleam of frost-covered trees, the silence broken only by the distant crack of shifting ice, the pale sun hanging low and weak in the sky like a ghostly sentinel. With every movement, the weight of what you carry becomes part of you, the spear balanced perfectly in your grip, the pack snug against your back, the cloak shielding you from the merciless elements. You are not just a hunter, you are a vessel of memory and hope, bearing the echoes of those who walked before and those who will follow. The past, the present, and the future intertwine in this moment, as real and fragile as the snowflakes melting on your skin. Your mind wanders to the faces of your tribe, the quiet strength of the elders, the fierce determination of the hunters, the innocent curiosity of children yet to learn the harsh lessons of the Ice Age. What you carry is not only your own survival but theirs as well. Each step forward is a promise to return with food, with stories, with life itself. The burden is heavy, yes, but it is also a gift, a sacred trust carried across the frozen landscape like a fragile flame fighting the darkness. The hours stretch ahead, filled with uncertainty and challenge, but also with the steady rhythm of your heartbeat, the crisp air filling your lungs, and the enduring spirit that pushes you onward. What you carry is more than what your hands hold. It is the essence of being human in a world carved from ice and shadow, a testament to resilience, to connection, and to the unyielding will to survive. And so you carry on, step by measured step, through the endless white wilderness, a hunter shaped by the past and driven toward the fragile promise of tomorrow. The frozen wind cuts through the valley like a sharpened blade, carrying with it the brittle scent of ice and ancient stone. The world around you is an endless expanse of white, broken only by the jagged skeletons of trees, half buried beneath layers of relentless snow. The cold is not just a physical presence here, it is a force, a constant adversary that shapes every breath, every movement, every thought. It presses against your skin, seeps into your bones, and whispers in the silence between heartbeats, reminding you that survival is a daily, unforgiving battle. Far ahead, barely distinguishable through the swirling flakes, a massive shape moves with a slow, deliberate gait. Your breath catches the last mammoth, a titan of a bygone age, trudging across the frozen tundra like a living mountain. Its thick fur is matted and dusted with frost, its enormous tusks curve forward in a silent, ancient warning. You watch as it lifts its massive head, nostrils flaring in the cold air, eyes dark and deep, eyes that have seen countless winters, witnessed the changing world, and carried the weight of a species now all but lost. The story of this mammoth has been etched into your tribe's memory like the carvings on stone tools, a tale told in whispers beside the fire, a legend wrapped in awe and dread. They say it is the last of its kind, a survivor from the age of giants, a living relic that carries the hopes and fears of your people. To hunt it is more than a quest for food, it is a rite of passage, a sacred duty woven into the fabric of your existence. Taking down this beast means life, meat to nourish, hides to protect against the cold, bones and tusks to fashion tools and weapons. But it also means confronting the wildness of nature itself, facing the raw power and ancient spirit that the mammoth embodies. You steady yourself, feeling the rough grain of your spear beneath calloused fingers. The flint tip gleams faintly in the weak light, sharpened through countless resharpenings, tested by fire and stone. This spear is more than a tool, it is your lifeline, an extension of your body and soul, a companion forged in the heat of countless hunts. Strapped across your back is your pack, heavy with dried meat, bone needles, sinew bindings, and the small tokens of your tribe, charms carved from antler, feathers tied with leather. Each holding stories of ancestors and protection. The ground beneath your feet is a treacherous mosaic of ice and snow, every step a cautious negotiation with the shifting surface. Your breath steams in the frigid air as you move, muscles coiled and senses sharpened. The landscape around you is a frozen wilderness, silent except for the occasional crack of ice shifting, the distant call of a raven, or the soft thud of snow settling on the branches. It is a world both beautiful and brutal, a realm where life and death intertwine like the threads of a fragile tapestry. Memories surface unbidden, the faces of your tribe gathered around the fire, the whispered prayers for protection, the laughter of children playing beneath the pale sky. You carry their hopes with you, a weight heavier than any pack, a bond that anchors you to the fragile human world amid the vast icy silence. Your heartbeat steadies, your spirit sharpens, and you press forward, following the tracks the mammoth has left, deep impressions carved into the frozen earth, a path leading into the unknown. Hours stretch into a timeless journey as you trail the colossal creature, each moment a blend of anticipation and reverence. You study its movements, the way it navigates the terrain with a careful, measured power. You feel the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, the rhythm of the hunt echoing in your veins. Every rustle, every shadow holds meaning, a whisper of danger, a promise of sustenance. The mammoth stops near a frozen river, its breath rising in clouds as it drinks from the ice-crusted water. You watch, hidden among the rocks, muscles tense like a coiled spring. Your mind sharpens with the lessons of countless hunts, patience, silence, respect. You are not just a predator stalking prey, you are part of an ancient dance, a ritual as old as time itself. To take this beast down requires more than strength, it demands understanding, humility, and an unbreakable will. Your thoughts drift briefly to those who came before, the hunters who tracked giants across this frozen world, their stories lost to the shifting snow, but alive in your blood. You carry their legacy, their triumphs and failures intertwined with your own journey. The mammoth's fate is tied to yours, a final chapter in a story of endurance and change, a testament to the fragile balance between man and nature. As the sun dips lower, casting a pale golden glow over the ice, you prepare to make your move. The spear feels steady in your hands, the cold biting but your resolve burning fierce. This is not just a hunt, it is a moment suspended between life and death, hope and loss, past and future. You take a breath, steady your nerves, and step forward, ready to face the last mammoth and the wild heart of the Ice Age itself. The fire flickers softly in the heart of the cave, casting a warm glow that dances across the ancient walls, where the shadows of your people linger like whispers from the past. Outside, the cold night presses against the stone, relentless and unyielding. But here in this fragile sanctuary of warmth and light, life holds its fragile, defiant flame. You sit close, feeling the comforting heat seep into your bones, a small victory against the vast, unforgiving ice that stretches beyond the shelter's mouth. This fire is more than warmth. It is a symbol, a living thread that connects you to your ancestors, to every hunter who came before, who sat in this same glow and dreamed of survival. The sparks rising into the night sky are like voices, echoes of stories told beside these flames, prayers for protection, songs of the hunt, and the quiet moments of reflection after the long day's trials. You look around at the faces gathered here, your tribe, your family, eyes heavy with weariness but shining with resilience. The fire lights the lines carved by time and struggle, yet also the sparks of hope and endurance that refuse to be extinguished. It is this fire that will carry you through the endless winters, the shifting seasons, the uncertain days ahead. It is the promise that life will continue, that despite the silence of bones and the fading of the mammoths, your story will go on. As you tend the flames, the smoke curling upward like a prayer to the vast sky, your thoughts wander to the journey you've lived, the cold mornings, the long hunts, the silence of the snow-covered plains, the sharp crack of the spear against the hide, and the quiet triumph of bringing home sustenance. You realize that this fire, this tiny, eternal spark, is the heart of everything, the light in the darkness, the bond that holds your people together, and the pulse of life itself. The Ice Age will end, as all ages do, but the fire you kindle tonight is a fire that never ends. It is the flame of survival, of memory, of humanity, burning bright in the darkest cold, carrying your story into the future. And now, dear listener, thank you for joining me on this long journey into the frozen past, a life of hunters, endurance, and the quiet courage of those who lived when the world was carved from ice and stone. If this story brought you some calm or wonder tonight, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to know where you're watching from, and what time it is in your part of the world. Your words make this journey even richer. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep exploring these quiet, fascinating stories together, drifting through time in soft whispers that help you rest. I'll be here with more tales to carry you gently into sleep. Until then, may your own fire burn warm and steady. Good night, and take care.